The old party lover, and yeah.
Right. Okay, so anything else? So we have a motion on the table, it's been seconded, we had some comments. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? That's wonderful. The ayes have it, and ladies, you have your referendum money, and I'm kind of happy about that myself. 3E is a special appropriation of debt service. So we're looking to transfer $23,782.79 for a variety of things, correct? Is that for the custodians, the registrars?
No, that's just a note.
I apologize.
It's just noted on the agenda item so that the board members will know what we
Right, I
started
got it.
with and what we've made transfers for throughout the year.
This is for the debt service. Why don't you explain why we're short here?
So, this is another, when we prepared our proposed budget, we were planning on bonding 3.7 million when we went to market in August, and we ended up bonding 5.3 million. And the reason we made this decision is because back to the issue of trying to keep our debt in the budget as smooth as possible, we found that we had a little bit, we had some wiggle room there, so we increased the amount that we bonded, and it was primarily related to the elementary school projects, so that we could get an earlier start, again, keeping that budget line smooth. So when the invoicing came in for the debt service payment that is due this month, it was that $23,782 and change greater than we estimated when we put the budget together.
And we did that. We received a favorable rate. We went out to bond, and we just, with this project being fully on, with your financing, with your expert analysis, but also our financial advisor, we decided to go with the higher amount. All of this has already gone through
Right, and I don't know if you remember
the
at
referendum and all that.
the forums, when I spoke to the debt for the school projects, we plan on bringing it on over 5 different bond issues
Right.
before we get it all on.
Are there any additional interest payments coming due before the end of the fiscal year?
The last ones that we have are these that are due on the 15th of this month.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
I'll move to appropriate and transfer $23,782.79 from account number 01-01-120-200-500 contingency to account 01-50-522-620-649 18 new GOB due to the estimate being lower than actual interest, and forward to the Board of Finance for approval.
Second?
Motion second. Any further comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? 3F is a presentation of the 2019-20 budget. Sandy, my budget's in your hands, isn't it? Oh. It's still there.
You don't like the color?
No, I don't like the color, and I don't like my title.
I don't.
Oh, what does it say?
I don't.
Board of Finance.
I never
Oh,
knew
I'm
you
so
had
sorry,
a
I'll
budget book.
fix that for you. Does yours say Board of Finance?
No, theirs are all right. Is this a message?
No, absolutely not. No.
Good.
We like you right where you are, Roseanne. There's always
I will
that.
fix that.
There's the budget is before you. I'm not going to make a presentation tonight or a formal anything. This is the part of the year where you take this home and take out your highlighter and a legal pad and start writing questions and preparing for our budget season. This is a decent budget. Of course, I always like it 0 or even a negative number. It isn't that. but it's a very, very good number. We come in at 3.35% increase. I left things in the budget this year instead of just slicing it down for us to have healthy discussions. There's additions to the police department. There've been the police commission has requested 2 police officers to be added to the force. I have approved 1 and forwarded to you 1. They've also asked for an additional full-time dispatcher. I granted that. At least it's in the budget. It'll be for us to decide that. And a few other items. The library was significantly cut back several years ago on their materials budget, and I've restored that to the financing or the funding that they've asked for. It'll be for us to have that discussion with the library. So where last year the budget came in at such bare bones that I didn't leave any room for discussion. I can't do that 2 years in a row. There's things that need to be bought. There was equipment and material that was put off that I can't keep putting off. We're a town and there's a cost to do business. And that will be in your budget. And I think we should be prepared for some healthy discussions with our town departments. Read over my introduction letter at your leisure. I won't read it into the record tonight. I'll submit it for the record. And look over the book. And I'm looking forward to scheduling meetings in the coming weeks. And we have until March 14th or 13th is when the budget has to be delivered to the Board of Finance. On the 13th. So we have until March 12th to come up with a number. Okay. The Board of Ed has been scheduled to meet with us, or have they not been yet?
They have not. They've been scheduled
Board of Finance.
for the Board of Finance.
But
yeah.
they need to present to us too, and that's always been shaky ground. Sometimes that's been dropped or whatever. They need to come before us as well, since they're at least 75% of the budget before you. They should inform the Board of Selectmen. And we should do that should we do that at the end of our meeting tonight, is setting
I
up
think
dates?
so.
Yeah, that'd be good, yeah.
Okay. No need to hold down the flow of the meeting here. We'll get our calendars at the end of the meeting and figure that out under Selectmen's response. How's that? There's been an addition to our agenda this evening then. 3FF is what did you add? I didn't get
I
that.
would like to add the appointment to the Planning Commission as an alternate.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Oh, we haven't got it.
Oh, I thought that was what
This
you
is
had.
the other ad. This is the,
That's H, when you get to that.
we added a resolution for the public safety building. As you
yes.
all know, we approved a $6 million resolution to buy the building and fully outfit it as a police station. The Board of Finance, a week later, or an evening later, after a long and healthy discussion, and they really had that discussion, decided that $5 million, they'd be more comfortable with 5. We need to we have to accept that should we go forward, and if it's our desire to go forward with the $5 million. Their thought process was that the Vision Committee will overlook this and decide whether they're going to go for an additional $1 million or not, or keep the holding cells in Waterford in the spirit of regionalization and cost savings, and create a public safety department that would house the 4 departments and have room for municipal room and be able to process 90% of the prisoners in the facility here in East Lyme, but the ones that have to be held overnight and over the weekend would be processed in Waterford at a fair rental. And that was what their decision was. As you know, it was the thought of the task force, the police commission, and with my endorsement as well, that after the referendum, we would put a vision committee together made up of what's been decided on is 3 of us, 3 from the Board of Finance, and 3 from the police commission will come together and decide how that extra $2.2 0.025%, or whatever it is, the difference between 5 million and the cost of the building, how that shall be spent on renovations.
Is that a firm decision on the formation and membership of that committee?
Yes.
I would like to see the police chief on that.
Well, and there'll be there'll be staff will be part of that. I'm not sure a voting member. I think maybe the elected officials would be the voting members. I'll listen to you otherwise. I'll hear, but I think the Chris Taylors and the Chief Finkelsteins and
Yeah, definitely.
anybody who would be a more
I felt-
expert than us
I felt the
citizens.
police chief in particular,
Yeah.
as opposed to the others who might be more ex officio. And I would also like to see 2 members from the public
Okay.
on that commission who do not currently serve on another commission. In other words, to have people from the public specifically who are
Okay.
not representing another board or commission.
So 3 selectmen, 3 finance, 3 police commission, the chief of police,
And 2 civilians
and 2 civilians
that are not
who
part
do
of
not
the
serve on any other commission.
Board
in
of
town.
Commission.
Yes. So there,
Would be 12 members.
do you think that's too unwieldy?
Nope, I don't think it is. I know it's going to be a big group. I want a lot of opinions in the middle of the table.
Are you counting yourself as one of the
No,
12?
I'll be ex officio. No, you know what? I probably won't even be that. I'm going to let 3 of us be on that, and I think I'll stay out of it. I've been involved enough, and I'll be glad to get it through referendum if that's the will of the people. And then I'll be happy to step aside and let other people's opinions come together.
Well, if we feel that 12 is too large, I would be satisfied with 2 from Board of Finance and 2 from the Board of Selectmen. I don't know how the other members feel.
What was the size of the, go ahead, Dan.
No, if it gets too large, it becomes unwieldy. I would support 2 from finance and 2 from Board of Selectmen. I think that's.
I made a kind of a promise and maybe a deal. I don't want to dare say. Well, I made a deal with them. I was going to say deal with the devil, but no, it was a deal with our compatriots over at Board of Finance that I would put 3 on. And I assured them I'd put 3 on. It was kind of the discussion. It's in the record, and I kind of want to hold my word. I put 3 on from the Board of Finance. I could put 2 on from here and 2 from the Police Commission.
Oh, no, if they get 3, we.
And my thoughts. I think it needs to be balanced. So let's just do 3, 3,
Yep.
3, and 3.
That's fine.
And 12. And your question was going to be
Well, when we did the school commission, how many were on that?
about. It felt like 50 people.
So this isn't
and-
precedent setting, we're not doubling what we've used.
No,
No.
we had
Okay.
many people around a very big table.
Okay.
And frankly, we got to the right answer.
It'll just be
With that
incumbent
many
upon
people.
them to work together.
Yeah.
Whether it's
Yeah.
12 or 9 or 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
Paul, going back to the middle school, there was probably 20 people on the, with alternates. And alternates were allowed to even participate, just not vote.
Wow.
And it really went really well because, there was pretty much a common vision. When it gets down to there's always a couple items, but I thought on that it worked really well, and I think everyone's feeling the same way here.
Good.
So I'd like to acknowledge this item, Agenda 3FF. For the record, I want to acknowledge that I'm in the receipt of a letter from the Board of Finance approving a resolution entitled Resolution Making an Appropriation in the amount of $5 million for the planning, design, acquisition, construction, equipping, and furnishing of a public safety building, and authorizing the issuance of $5 million bonds of the town to meet said appropriation, and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose. I'm in receipt of that letter that they have approved that resolution, and it's our task tonight to also approve said resolution to be able to then move it to a referendum.
Okay. Move the following. Resolved that the resolution entitled Resolution Making an Appropriation in the amount of $5 million for the planning, design, acquisition, construction, equipping, and furnishing of a public safety building, and authorizing the issuance of $5 million bonds of the town to meet said appropriation, and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose be adopted. Full text of the proposed bond resolution is on file and open to the public for inspection at the office of the town clerk.
Seconded.
It's been forwarded, it's been a motion, it's been seconded, and been forwarded.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any comment?
Yes, I do.
Yes, ma'am.
I am extremely disappointed in the decision that was made by the Board of Finance. I feel that the $6 million was an adequate figure to do the job properly. When that was figured, we also counted on saving over $50,000 a year by taking care of our own prisoners. That 50,000, now we're short that 50,000, plus the fact that that was a negotiated contract for just a short period of time.
Right.
We're going to have to go back and renegotiate that again, and who knows if it's going to be 50,000. I feel that the committee did a very good job, very thorough job, and came in pretty bare bones compared to the two previous proposals that were made, which were for a great deal more money, meaning the two previous proposals for public safety buildings.
Right.
And so as I was not at the meeting, I would like, and you were, I would like to know, what was the sentiment on the part of the Board of Finance if we cannot do this for the $5 million? Are they willing to have us come back to do the job properly and ask for additional funding to make up for the $1 million? I mean, I realize I'm an old-time gal, but $1 million is a lot of money to me.
Yeah.
And I think to do the job properly, I think that was our commitment as this board to the public, that we would be doing the job properly and providing what was needed for public safety. And I'm very concerned about the withdrawal of $1 million from what was, I think, a very fair estimate of what needed to be done. So those are my comments. So I would like to know, when the meeting was finished, what is your impression of that?
Well,
Meaning,
I think the
possibility of
sentiment, and I heard you. There was it was 5 hours of discussion and frankly, they had all been at all the public forums and are fully aware of what we were asking for. The task force, as it was put together. And don't forget, there's a negotiation over an existing building that's on the market. We either buy it, we don't buy it. And it's unfortunate but true. They're not going to hold on to this for a year or two while we go chase state bonding, or while we, first of all, get appropriation to get an architect to go in there to then create a plan and a vision committee like we were able to do, and we had the freedom to do when we were putting a school plan together. It wasn't the scenario. They were frustrated with that. Members of that committee, several of the members were fully engaged with $6 million. The task force did their job, and boy, aren't we a lucky town to be able to go in for $6 million and have a police station fully equipped. A couple of the members were just the opposite. They said, well, let's buy the building, then let's step back, and let's put a vision committee, let's hire an architect, let's take our time, and let's figure out what we want to do here. Now, the argument against that was a very strong argument that we're buying a building, but we're not telling the taxpayers how much the end game is going to be. It's like asking the taxpayers to vote on a blank check. They're voting for a $2.7 million building, but how do they know, and where's the assurance that this isn't a $10 million project? At the end of the day, we can't ask the taxpayers to buy a building and we'll tell you what it's going to cost later. So there was that sentiment, and then there was this, and then somehow this compromise in between came up, and the compromise in between came up because there was this idea of can we get into this building step by step? Can we get into this building, get the police out of the horrendous condition they're in now, and save that day, and then build up the police station. If Old Lyme comes over, well, we're definitely going to need the jails, and we're going to have a regional force, or and that's that's not even on the table right now. Or if we grow as a town and we have 30 officers instead of the 23 or 24 that we have now, in time we will. Well, then maybe we should put together the police station. In discussions with Brian Humes, the premier architect in Connecticut who only builds public safety buildings, and he's a wealth of knowledge. He's the fellow who walked through the building and said, $3 million all in, you guys are going to be good to go. This building is unbelievable with potential, and you will realize your potential with $3 million. He said the exact same words when I asked him, if I take out the holding cells, can I do it for $2 million? Can I renovate this building for $2 million if I don't have holding cells, permanent holding cells? He said, yes. You will realize your full potential and be able to successfully build and renovate this building for a police force who is sharing holding cell space with a neighboring town. The difference between the $2 million plan and the $3 million renovation plan is substantial in that you go from an office building environment with plenty of safety security issues to an institutional building that is housing people in holding cell cages for an extended period of time, which requires a substantial investment in building code. In building improvements, and that's where the cost comes in. That's that extra $1 million. It was felt like, let the vision committee get in there and say, you know what, it makes sense to get holding cells. If so, we go back and we'll ask for the other $1 million. It won't have to go to referendum. It could go through the regular appropriation process, through a town meeting, and will be fully vetted, and we'll have the plan. Or we'll we'll put off the holding cells until an appropriate time when we feel like we've grown as a town, or we're taking on more responsibility through other agencies, and we can do it then. And that was the thought process. At the end of the night, there was a bit of a stalemate. It was a 3-3 after 2 motion votes. And then the compromise was put on the table by a source I wouldn't have expected, and it was seconded, and it was a unanimous decision that they really did want to get in this building. They didn't want to let this opportunity go. They valued what we said as a commission, and they took that to heart, that our vote was unanimous. They valued what the task force has been working on for a long period of time, and they understood the problems of our current police station and the struggles this town has had for the last 15 years. And at the end of the day, they said, at least we're going to get in this building, and we're going to make it enough, we're going to be able to renovate it enough that all 4 departments can get in there, and the building will be secure, safe, and appropriate for the business of policing and dispatch, fire marshal, EOC, and the holding cell opportunity is that last expensive piece of the puzzle, and then we'll decide whether they're going to go forward immediately or put it off. I think that's as best a synopsis as I can give you. At the end of the day, I'm thrilled that we're going to a referendum, and we're potentially going to solve this problem. I'm with you that I'm disappointed that we're not just getting this done and doing it in this fashion. But I'm glad we're at least heading down in the right direction. My God, we've been at this far too long. I hope that answers your question.
Well, it does and it doesn't.
Yeah.
In that I feel that in terms of how you began with telling the taxpayers what it cost, I think the $6 million was an honest figure. And I understand what you're saying, but too many times have we done projects in this town, including the building that we're sitting in right now, which was never designed for people to be working in a basement with no windows for 30 years.
Right.
And I am very concerned that when push comes to shove, that $1 million isn't going to be willing to be brought forward in order for us to do the job properly.
The police, yes, ma'am. And I agree with you, and I wish we could just get this done. And boy, what a great opportunity it still is going to be. The police have been briefed on this. Obviously, I've had a long discussions with Chief Finkelstein. He understands the situation. He understood the vote. He understood their thinking. Of course, we work daily with the Waterford Police Department. We know we'll be able to strike a decent deal over there and be moving toward the direction we need to move toward. But keeping in partnership with Waterford as well. Listen, 10% of the lockups that we do are going to be needed to go to Waterford. We had 250 lockups in the last calendar year. 25, less than 25, were needed. We would needed to go to Waterford. The rest, going forward, we'd be able to do this processing. You do the fingerprints, you do the picture, and then you release with a warrant to show up to court or whatever, however that works. You're the lawyer. So most of their business will still be able to be conducted in this police building. Very minimal business will be done in Waterford. We'll be able to take all our evidence back, all the records back, we're going in the right direction on this. I'm sorry we couldn't get the whole thing done. Maybe the task force or the vision committee that we put together will see the light and have discussions with, and they're going to create a really good relationship with the architect. And they're going to have these healthy discussions, and maybe we go forward right away. Is there any other?
I'd also like to share,
Yeah.
my personal disappointment that we're not going to get a fully up police station. We're going to get a public safety building. It's an office building with good security. We're going to have to renegotiate the Waterford contract because evidence storage would now be in the new building. Mark, evidence storage would now be in our building
Yes.
with Waterford, so that would be a reduction of
If-
our current agreement with Waterford. It would
Yes.
just be for holding cell purposes.
Yes, and also processing will be over in our facility. So I think the relationship we have with Waterford and the obligation we have with Waterford will be reduced, and we'll have to create a long-term thing as well. But they're willing partners.
And the absence of this $1 million and the absence of the overnight facilities for holding cells is going to be a challenge for the Vision Committee to make sure that sometime in the future, when that has to be executed, that it's not going to interrupt other functions in the building. So as it's laid out,
Right.
to get work done, to come in
Right.
and do a major construction project in an operating facility,
Yeah.
will present some challenges, and they're going to have to carefully be looked at. And I hope those challenges don't result in an increased cost of something we could have done up front and done it right the first time by adding on. Our police department's gone from the probate, tiny building to the slightly larger but inappropriate Main Street building, and now we're going to a building that's still going to need work. It's disappointing that we couldn't do it all at once, but so be it. Hopefully the town will decide that if we can move, our registered voters can decide if we're going to move forward, and we'll do the best we can with what's allotted, and if there's more to be needed, we'll have to address that at the time it comes up. So,
Correct.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daigle, and wise comments from both of you. I appreciate it. Any others?
I'm just going to say
Yes,
that
ma'am.
it's unfortunate, we are going to have to vote for this because we have no option. The police are in horrendous conditions.
Correct.
We cannot, we have no space, we have no place to move them to.
No.
And in good conscience, we cannot keep them there. So I think we're going to be forced to vote for this. Perhaps, in my case, it's against my better judgment, but on the other hand, there's no alternative. This is the best alternative we have.
The Vision Committee, and I agree, and I'd rather be voting for a $6 million plan as well. The Vision Committee will be made up of 3 members of the Board of Selectmen, 3 members of the Board of Finance, 3 members from the Police Commission, the Chief of Police with a vote, and 2 members from the public who do not serve currently on